Hello and welcome to our 2022 YPN Kickoff event. My name is Michael Scott and I am the Vice President of First Response Disaster Restoration Specialist and your 2022 YPN Chair. We are incredibly excited about what lies ahead for 2022, and we could not do this without our great sponsor, Gibson Insurance. Gibson Insurance has been a phenomenal supporter of YPN through the years, and we appreciate their willingness and desire to continue to develop, connect, and empower our YPs year after year. So thank you, Gibson Insurance, for continually being a part of our young professionals network here. Before we really get things started, I'd like to pass things off to Jeff Ray, the President and CEO of the South Bend Regional Chamber, for a few words. Jeff?
Great, Michael. Thank you for the chance to join you today, and welcome to everybody. Thank you so much for being part of our YPN program. We couldn't be more excited about the kickoff this year and what we have in store. We think this is a terrific program for our community, and we appreciate you all, your willingness to be a part of it. Especially a big thanks to Michael and the entire advisory council for their efforts too. They obviously all have day jobs and are busy and see this as important work, and we're grateful for each of you giving your time to help lead this program. You know, when I think back, I'm the old guy in the room today. It was some 28 years ago now that I began my involvement with the Chamber of Commerce as a young professional here in our community. And I kind of reluctantly got sent by my boss and wasn't sure that I wanted to participate, but somebody had to go, and I was the young guy on the team and got sent. This was way before Young Professionals Network programming, just more of sort of community involvement kind of things. And over the last 28 years, I've really grown to cherish the relationships I've met with folks that I never would have met if I'd have stayed within my own bubble at my office. And so I met people in every industry and every part of our community of all kinds of different backgrounds. And so it was an important connection. And honestly, it was a big part of why I wanted to stay here. I wasn't sure that the South Bend area was the place for me when I left. The call of the big cities was calling. And if you look at where young professionals are living, all the lists say, Seattle and Denver and Washington and San Francisco and some of that. But I thought there was something special here in South Bend and St. Joseph County, Northern Indiana, Southwest Michigan, and made the decision to stay here. And my involvement in the chamber was a pretty important part of me wanting to be here. Several years later, in a different role, we've gone and studied some other communities and tried to understand what they were trying to do for young people, and in terms of helping attract them and keep people there. We saw models in Louisville, Kentucky, and some others during inner city visits. We thought we've got to start something like that back home when we get back. And so this has been a really important program for the chamber. Our members see this as valuable. Members like Gibson step up with the dollars to help make this program work. And most of all, I want this to be your program. This isn't something that the president and CEO is going to mandate. You've got to do certain things, but this is your program. Amanda is super talented on my team. Amanda's going to lead that effort, as well as Selena and Jake and some others that are part of our team, just to help provide the staff support and some of the organization that behind it, and hopefully the funding that we need for the different programming and such. But overall, make this your program. Get out, enjoy, folks. We're hoping that the worst of the pandemic is behind us, and we'll be able to get back into some regular in-person gathering. We know today didn't quite work out that well for it, but we know in the future it will too. So anyway, on behalf of really the 1,000 members of the Chamber of Commerce that employ some 70,000 people here in our area, I just want to say welcome, congratulations, thanks for being a part of this program, and I hope you have a great year. Michael, I'll send it back to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeff, and thank you for your continuous support of the Chamber and our young professionals. We truly appreciate it. Really exciting. As I was looking through the names of the individuals we have signed up for both this virtual kickoff event and then also our after hours event later on this evening, it's really exciting to see some familiar faces and names, as well as some people where they marked that this was their first YPN event. And I think as we're looking to grow and continue, we want to have that mix of kind of the veterans, the ones that have kind of gone through it before, and then also the new incomers, so the new people that are coming into our community that are wanting to get involved in YPN. So that's incredibly exciting for us. Since we do have so many new faces, we will be having a question and answer session at the end of this. That'll kind of be one of the last segments we go through. So if throughout this you do have any questions, feel free to either drop it in the question box or in the chat, and we will make sure we address that at the end of our program today. I know for me, Young Professionals Network has made a massive impact on my life. I grew up here, went to high school here, but then I moved away and actually lived in Louisville for about 10 years before relocating back here with my family. And when I came back, no offense to many of my high school friends, many had moved on, but there were a lot that I didn't necessarily want to reconnect with, or, we had lost touch and wasn't necessarily have that group of friends to come back to. So when I was looking for different people and different networks to get involved in, the Young Professionals Network really spoke to me to help me get involved in the community and kind of begin to kind of make my own path here in the South Bend, Michiana area. And so it was nice to be able to meet people my age, meet people that are wanting to grow in the community, wanting to help this community. And that was, for me, just a really, really powerful network to kind of get involved in. And what I can say to you guys, and we'll kind of attest to it, Juan will speak to this a little later, is you're only going to get out of it whatever you put in. So if you show up to a random event here and there, just kind of dabble a little bit, that's what you're going to get out of it. But if you really want to make a commitment, try to come to a lot of events. When you come to an event, come out of your comfort zone and engage with new people. I really think you're going to get a lot out of this, and it's incredibly exciting. And most of my best friendships that I have here now are people that I met through YPN or through different YPN events. So it's incredibly exciting. They've opened numerous doors for me, both personally, socially, and professionally. And my goal in kind of taking over YPN as chair for this year was to begin to help others kind of have the exact same experience I had. So I'm incredibly excited about that opportunity. It's something I don't take lightly, and really kind of look forward to what we have coming on here in 2022. But obviously, if I was the one in charge of doing all that myself, I would fail miserably. So I've been very fortunate to be able to surround myself with some fantastic individuals here in the community. So with that, Amanda, if you want to pop up a slide, I'd like to introduce you to some of the key instrumental people here as we move forward with YPN. First one, you can ignore him. He's not overly important. Amanda Glassen, she is the South Bend Regional. She works with the South Bend Regional Chamber. She is our liaison. So as we go through things, she is going to help with all the logistics between YPN and the chamber. And she's kind of that back end support. So events like this, she's the one that kind of helps orchestrate everything and kind of keeps things moving for us. Jake Brown, the content and digital marketing strategist for Visit South Bend. He is in charge of all our social media. So a lot of the posts that go out, he is the one that's doing that. So if you do have anything that you're interested in publicizing on social media, Jake Brown would be the person to reach out to. And next, I want to go through our ambassadors. And our ambassadors are here to support and advise YPN South Bend and help us develop our programs, resources, and events to help your both personal and professional growth. And these people are great resources in the community. You look now, it's amazing to see where I wish we could just kind of fast forward 10 or 15 years and say, all right, this is where they are now. Where are they going to be 10 or 15 years from now? Amanda, who you're going to speak to, has just purchased her first business. And so she's getting that off the ground. So it's incredibly exciting as we're with this team that we've been able to develop of people that are truly the future movers and shakers of our community. So make sure at our events coming up, you reach out to them if you see them. They will have a name badge on. Feel free. You can kind of see it in Juan's photo there. But as we're going through, make sure you reach out to them and introduce yourself. So first off, Amanda McCord with Centier Bank. We have Britt Hirata with Generations Adventureplex. Brooke Spear is living the dream right now with parental leave. She doesn't need to worry about going out tomorrow and all the snowstorms, and she can stay home. She's living the dream. We have Chris Ruby with Barnes and Thornburg. Coral Svetna with WellPet. Eileen Villanueva with IUSB. Juan Constantino with La Casa de Amistad. Kennedy Richardson with Cressy Commercial Real Estate. Santana Bozeman with Gibson Insurance. Selena Guevara with with Greater Niles Chamber. And Shabir, out of respect, I'm not going to announce her last name. I feel like I butcher it every time. So we're going with Shabir. He's the only Shabir I know. And but Shabir is the man with Ivy Tech Community College. And without these great ambassadors, we would not be where we are today. So I truly appreciate your all's time and dedication to YPN, and really look forward to the programming we are opening up here for 2022. So with that, I would like to pass things off to Amanda McCord with Centier Bank to share more about her YPN experience and discuss the mix of programming we have scheduled for this year. Amanda?
All right. Thanks, Mike, for the introduction. As Mike said, my name's Amanda McCord. I'm with Centier Bank. Also just bought my own business, but we'll put me with Centier. So my experience with YPN is very similar to Mike's, and I believe a lot of people. So I'm originally from the area, moved to Granger, South Bend when I was 7, grew up here, went to elementary school, middle school, high school, graduated from Penn. Quite some time ago at this point. And then I moved as soon as I turned 17, which is when I graduated, went to Chicago. I wanted out of the area. Just wasn't for me. I was that quiet student who did not have very many friendships, felt like I did not have a lot of possibilities in the community at that point. So after living in Chicago for about 1.5 years, I ended up moving to North Carolina and stayed there for 6.5 years. And then life happened and I was told I'm moving back home. At the time, it was the worst thing possible. I had cut off all connections to anybody my age in the community. I really only knew my parents, grandparents, cousins, aunts, uncles, you name it. So I moved back, and that was about 7 years ago at this point. I got the job at Centier Bank at our Elkhart branch, was a teller, super happy there, but never really had any friends my age. I would go home, hang out with my family, hang out with my dog, cat. But I was really missing that, those relationships with people my age and really going through life and having people to discuss that with. So when we opened our downtown South Bend branch, my manager at the time told me that I should get involved with YPN, and that terrified me. I was that quiet person who wanted to talk to nobody, who did not know how to start a conversation. You put the word networking in any sentence and I was out. I was like, I don't know how to start a conversation. I don't really know if I could hold a conversation if I felt awkward. But the reason it enticed me was because he said, if you want to promote up into the bank, you're going to have to go out and network and get more involved in the community and really understand why you're passionate and why you want to work for a community bank. So my first event was a lunch, I believe, and I was that person up against the wall, terrified. I think I sat on the far corner and would not even say hi to anybody. The person who brought me into the table actually aged out of YPN, I believe, 1 year or 2 ago. But they introduced me to people and really started to tell me the importance of YPN and that the word networking is not the full point of it. It's to create those relationships. So I've been with YPN for about 4 or 5 years now. And it's helped me tremendously, not only personally. Some of my best friends now are honestly who I've met through YPN, but professionally as well. It's helped me in a lot of areas. And just that growth, it also helped me to get out of my habit. I'm that person who will find one restaurant I love. I will not go anywhere else in the city. So it really pushes me to branch out. I know I can go see my friends, meet new people, and I also get to try a new place now at that point. So I always encourage everybody, especially moving back to the area or being new, to come try. It's not just about networking. That's a scary word for a lot of us. It's about creating those relationships, getting to know our city better, getting to love it. And honestly, I think YPN plays a large part in why I am continuing to stay here, because I did not like the area. That's part of why I left right after high school, but it really shows us those gems and creates those relationships, which are another reason for why I do choose to continue to be in YPN 5 years down the road now. And then, as Mike mentioned, we have a bunch of personal and virtual options that we are looking into this year. We want to be cognizant we are still in the pandemic, but we also got the survey results back, and we want to look. We heard you guys. We're all ready to be in person too. So obviously, today we are virtual just due to COVID numbers and the uncertainty around this time. But we're also looking for ways to include those in person. So whether they're after hours, we've got a ton of different ideas. We're trying to cater to everybody, for those who still aren't 100% comfortable going out, and those who do. So stay tuned for that. We do have an event coming up. I can't remember the date. I know they'll go over that at the end. That's in person, and it is something that is very cool to the city. But now I'd like to introduce Juan Constantino, and he is going to let you guys or talk about the importance of being an active member in the community.
Great. Thank you, Amanda, for that introduction. And it's a pleasure to be on this call with all of you. As Amanda said, my name is Juan Constantino. I am the current executive director of La Casa de Amistad as of 4 months ago. at some point. I'm sure I'll stop counting. But I want to give you guys a little bit of background as to how I even got into this position and how I even got involved with La Casa de Amistad. And it all really started in college. And I grew up in the area. So my family immigrated from Mexico when I was very young. And I went from Kennedy Elementary School here in South Bend, eventually to St. Joseph's High School, last class of the old school, and then Holy Cross College. And at my time at Holy Cross College, I got involved in a number of things. And one of them was actually being invited to be on a panel with the executive director at the time at La Casa de Amistad. And that panel took place down at the St. Joseph County Public Library. And so I did it. And that was a part of the beginning of my advocacy work as well, about talking about various different policies going on throughout the nation in our area. And I wanted to get involved within that regard because it was something that impacted me personally. It was something that impacted my community, and it was something that I really cared about. And so I did it. And as I was approaching my senior year and I was looking at what could be next, just like all of us, is the big city calling? Am I going to move away to Minnesota, Illinois, and Chicago? And I was looking at a number, Missouri, where there was an offer for the University of Missouri. A friend of mine who was in the internship I was doing in college said, you should apply to La Casa de Amistad. They've got a full-time job. And what was kind of the stick there was the fact that I had volunteered and worked with the center in the past. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to put my name in the hat and then we'll see where this goes. And I made it to the interview. I ended up getting the job offer. And ultimately, I ended up saying yes to the position, where a bit of an involvement and being an active member of the community ultimately led me to the job that I am today. Now, that was back in June 1 of 2016. And so, Mike, I think you got your hand up. You want to jump in? Maybe not. Okay. But June 1 of 2016. And I started off as a programming assistant. My job was really my passion, and where we can tie our passion, quote unquote, to our paycheck. And so I started off by working with our youth programming students and taking them to university tours, something that I didn't get a chance to do a ton of. I was answering the phones. I was helping folks in the community build a resume, and that was my everyday job. But I also had some skill set and some knowledge of fundraising, so I wanted to get involved in that. And so what started as a programming assistant job became development coordinator, director of development, and as of September, now the executive director of La Casa, 5.5 years later. But all that is to say is that we can find within our time some of the passions and things that are near and dear to our hearts. So whether it's volunteering at a community center, doing some tutoring, working at a pet shelter, or a number of things, not only may you find your passion and maybe your next career opportunity, but you may even meet new individuals. You may get to know your city at a different capacity outside of the cafes and the events. But then we come to find out the number of nonprofits and resources that this community has to offer. And you never know when the day comes where, because of something that you did or something that you got involved in, that you could then connect or relay that information to someone else who may desperately need that service. So whether it's knowing where vaccine or testing clinics are right now during COVID, or maybe you got involved with real services and you know that they help folks with utility assistance, be it as it may, being involved in our community as active members, as volunteers, as philanthropists, and where we choose to give our dollars can be a part of where we drive our passion, and could be even where we land our next career, or where we meet and grow new relationships here in the community. So I encourage you all, not only with YPN, because I hope to see you at all of our events, and I'm proud to be an ambassador this year, but also look to get involved in some of the nonprofits here in town. We've got quite a spread throughout all of St. Joseph County and here in the city of South Bend. And if you have any questions, if you're looking for a nonprofit or a program to get connected to, I'm happy to connect with one of my nonprofit community members here throughout the area. But with that in mind, I want to transition over to Selena Guevara for her to introduce herself there. There you go, Selena. Thank you.
Okay, there we go. still, you think 3 years I would be able to figure this out from the pandemic, but here we are. Anyways, my name's Selena, and I am pretty brand new to YPN. I'm an ambassador here because I work for the chamber, in between both South Bend and Niles, trying to get, young people in Niles involved in this stuff as well. But I just want to talk about, a little bit about why I'm excited to be a part of this. I am on the younger spectrum of the YPs who are in here, and I'm not from the South Bend area. So I originally moved here just under 3 years ago for a job at WSBT. And that job was great for me because I had a bunch of great coworkers who were also right out of college, who also worked really weird hours with me. And so, I worked every Friday and Saturday night for 2.5 years, couldn't, go out and meet normal people on like normal schedules. And so I really just hung out with other people from the TV station because we were all there on, 2 or 3 year contracts, and we all had weird hours. And then, it was great friendships and a great time. But then, when their contracts ended, most of my coworkers, ended up moving to Indianapolis, Atlanta, Jacksonville, because none of them were from here also. And I really liked the area. I wanted to, stick around a little bit longer. And so now, being part of YPN, I feel like that's an opportunity for me to meet some more of the great people who are in this area. I always like to, brag about South Bend to my friends at home that, it's great because, I love my roommate. I have my house where the rent is like a third to a quarter of what, my friends who are living in San Francisco are paying. The drinks are $6 at the most as opposed to, $15. It's a really great quality of life to be here. And now that, I'm on a normal schedule, I have a lot more free time to get out in the community and meet people. And, my current work, I love working at the chamber too, but a lot of my coworkers are, maybe older, have families, are from here, so are not necessarily, wanting to go out to the bars every night or, to go out and meet people and just, be out and about. So I'm really excited to, meet all of the great people in the area, be a part of YPN, go to some of the events that are coming up. We've got a whole roster ready for you. So, tonight there's the happy hour. I'll be there. Feel free to stop by, say hello, say hi to any of the people who have spoken today, because we're all friendly faces who just want to be there and get to know you all. Then in 2 weeks on February 15th, we've got a guided tour of the Civil Rights Heritage Center for Black History Month. So that's at 5 o'clock, the doors open, and the tour starts at 5:30. First week of March, there's going to be a virtual event for taxes, which I feel like I finally am old enough where I shouldn't be asking my dad for help with taxes. So hopefully I can figure my own stuff out through that. And then we've got a March Madness watch party happening at La Casa de Amistad the evening of March 18th. So that'll be really great to get together, watch some sports. I know we have a bracket too that people can do before leading up to that. So it's always nice to be part of the bracket challenge. But if you didn't, have a pen and paper handy, you can go on our website. We have an event tab on YP South Bend or YPNSouthBend.com. And if you're, at the happy hour tonight or at the end of this meeting, we'll make sure that everyone has the link as well. And with that, I'm going to pass it on to Brooke and Coral, who have, been in YPN for a little bit longer. And so they can talk about, what they've gotten to take out of it.
Awesome. Thanks, Selena. So I'm Brooke. I've been a YP here in the area for about 4 years. As Mike said, I am currently on a little bit of a sabbatical from work. I had my first child in the summer, so I'm taking a little time to be a stay-at-home parent, but at some point plan to re-enter the workforce. So it's been really important to me to stay involved in YPN, not only for the professional development side of things, but just maintaining those connections and meeting people, staying connected to the community. My background has been in human resources, recruiting, and employee benefits. So those are some of the areas I've worked in the past. YPN, I've been involved for 4 years, but I've been an ambassador for 2. But I am not originally from the area. I grew up in Montana, came out to the area for school at Notre Dame, and then moved away for 5 years, came back with my husband in 2017, and I didn't know anybody and I didn't have a job set up. So one of the first things I did was connect with YPN and start going to events all by myself. Had to go up and introduce myself to people and say, I don't know anybody, don't have a job, any leads, any advice for me, people I can connect with. So that's really hard. And I can totally understand if anybody is apprehensive to do that. So if you're one of those people who's new to YPN or new to the area, feel free to come up and introduce yourself. Happy to try and connect you. I know what it's like to be the new kid on the block, and it can be intimidating, but joining YPN really helped me make some great connections. I know everyone's mentioned it, but I have some really good friends that I met through YPN. Some people I ended up being coworkers with through YPN. So it's just been really important for me to connect with lots of driven and fun, talented people in the area through YPN. And I will go ahead and pass it on to Coral. She's going to talk a little bit about her story and also the importance of feedback that we want to get from each of you.
Hi, YPs. I'm Coral Svetna. I am our People and Engagement Manager over at Wellness Pet Food. I've been involved with YP for about 5 years, the past 2 years working as an ambassador. Being in human resources, training and development is kind of a huge part of what I do. I have gained so many professional development opportunities for myself that has really aided my growth, my professional growth. So just wanted to share a little bit about some of the offerings that I was able to take advantage of. Things like building your own personal brand, how to network. We all kind of touched on how hard networking can be, but there are tips, there are tricks that can help you succeed in that. We have our tax one coming up, but personal finance, resilience, kind of career mapping and choosing a vision for our life, making an influence, as well as we often like to host executive conversations where we get to learn a little bit more about some executives in the area and how they succeeded. One of my favorites was a couple of years ago when we had Andrew share some of his insights and tips and tricks. So just a huge range of opportunities. These can be offered whether it's a luncheon. We also do our YP Summit that will come in later in the year, where it's just either, we've done it a couple different ways, but just jam-packed with a ton of resources and information that will help you succeed professionally. So that being said, your feedback is super important. So what matters to you? What kind of content do you want to see from us? When you see those surveys or catch one of us at the in-person events, please share your feedback. That really helps us offer content that matters to you. So that being said, I'm going to pass it back to Michael.
Thank you, Coral, and thank you, Brooke, and appreciate everybody that was able to share today. And as we look forward to different events, we want this to be about you guys. That's what's incredibly important. We can sit back and we can come up with events, but if the events aren't things that you guys are interested in, things that you want to do, it's a complete waste of time. So when we go to different events and we talk to you, we want to hear your ideas. And you talked to or heard from a few people today that weren't originally from here and moved here from out of state. That's awesome, because a lot of those individuals, and maybe you as well, were involved with a YPN in a different area. So you've seen how they've been able to kind of run their YPN in different events they were able to put on. And so that's incredibly important for us to hear as we are beginning to kind of navigate 2022 and what we want to offer. And Amanda was able to talk. We are going to do a mix of both in-person and virtual. Based on the surveys we've been asked, it seems like a mix is warranted and wanted. So that's what we're going to continue to do. I also know from a scheduling thing, it's a lot easier to sit here right now and have this event where you can sit at your computer. Some of you guys are probably eating lunch right now and we're not seeing your face, yet you're still being engaging, which is great. Whereas if we were to have events off, driving somewhere, that could take a little bit more time than maybe what your current employer will allow. But really important to stay engaged. We do have the newsletter online that was alluded to. So go there, sign up now. Make sure it's not going to your junk. We do hear that every now and then because it is a newsletter. Sometimes it can get to your spam folder or your junk email. And stay engaged. We mentioned we'll do different surveys. A lot of times, if you fill out a survey, you'll be in for a drawing for a $25 gift card to a place of your choice. We want to hear from you. That's incredibly important. And so we really want to encourage you to help spread the word, bring a friend. As alluded tonight, we do have an event from 5 to 7 p.m. at a loft at WXYZ bar. No tickets needed. Very relaxed event. We kind of call these our YP at 5. You can show up, bring a friend, have a couple drinks, do some networking, meet some other individuals, really relax. If you can't show up right at 5, maybe you show up at 6, that's fine. If you can't stay the whole time, that's fine. Come in, just say hello. We're really looking forward to meeting you. We will have our ambassadors will have green name tags. So please feel free, if you see them, if you don't recognize anybody and you're like, oh my gosh, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? Come find one of us. If we haven't found you first, and just come introduce yourself, and we'll kind of get you incorporated to the group. But we're really excited about everything. And Skip Prosser, former head men's basketball coach at Wake Forest, always said, never delay gratitude. And for me personally, that's something I try to remember every day. And we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you all, if it wasn't for these great ambassadors, if it wasn't for Jeff with the Chamber and Amanda and Jake. And we truly appreciate each and every one of you and you guys helping us out. So thank you to the ambassadors, and thank you to you guys that are listening today for allowing us this opportunity to provide programming for you all that you guys can hopefully be engaged with. Looking through everything, don't see any questions here now. And in the interest of time, I don't want to hold you guys up at all. If you do have any questions, feel free to put it in. But as always, we would like to thank Gibson Insurance for being a sponsor and kind of allowing us to have these types of events. And I hope to either see you guys tonight at WXYZ Bar from 5 to 7, or see you on February 15th at the Civil Rights Heritage Center. So thank you all very much, and have a great rest of your day, and stay safe. It looks like we're about to get bombarded with some snow here in the next little bit. So please stay safe, and make sure you guys are checking on your neighbors and family members during this time. Thank you all so much. We appreciate it.